They have murdered you, but they couldn't take away your dignity. The words of the song honor the 81 people massacred in Magallón. Whenever she can, Olga Alcega visits the cemetery where her grandfather's remains were found in a mass grave.
My grandfather was lying under here.
This was the spot where the dead lay. Now Olga and the other relatives have exhumed their remains. For 70 years, Olga's grandfather lay buried together with 80 other victims of the Spanish Civil War.
This is my grandfather. The Republican flag shows he was a Republican. And here's his name, Antonio Alcega Lázaro.
The small mausoleum is located right next to the former mass grave. Photos, bones, and personal effects remember the dead of Magallón. People who died like Olga's grandfather, defending Spain's democracy against Franco's fascism during the 3-year Civil War.
It was important for us to bring the truth to light. That way no one can conceal history anymore. If you see a skeleton with a bullet hole in its skull, then you know that this person didn't die in an epidemic.
Oriaga Oscos is also hoping to find the remains of her grandfather, who was also, in all likelihood, a victim in the war against Franco. He was executed in 1936 in a field outside the city of Pamplona. With the help of aerial photographs, they're hoping to narrow down the search. Oriaga Oscos says an eyewitness observed the executions of her grandfather and 3 other men.
At least 2 people were shot in the neck from behind, the witness told me. They had been held captive and were beaten. 1 tried to escape. They killed the men and simply left their bodies lying there.
Her grandfather, Isidoro, worked as a taxi driver in Pamplona. Oriaga suspects that he had been helping the Republicans and as a result was shot by Franco's men. For years, she has been looking forward to the day when the search for his remains can finally start.
I'm happy. I think our chances of finding something are good, because we have so many things to go on.
Then the digger starts work. For Oriaga and her husband, it's an emotional moment. Any time now they could uncover clues, an unusual coloring of the earth, a shoe, or a bone. She spent months beforehand doing painstaking research in the archives and speaking to people who were alive at the time. Now she's convinced that her grandfather Isidoro Eguía Oleachea must be buried somewhere in this field. In the afternoon, the team is joined by Doroteo Irurita. The 97-year-old fought on Franco's side in the Spanish Civil War and witnessed the executions back then. He'll try to help locate the missing bodies with the support of his son.
Did they cover the dead with stones to stop them being scavenged by dogs?
No, they didn't.
Doroteo can't give Oriaga any new information, but she's grateful for his decision to come forward, unlike so many others. The Civil War and the Franco dictatorship that followed remained taboo for many Spaniards. Stony silence. Olga Alcega knows what that's like too. All the more reason, she says, to open up the mass graves from the Civil War. It took months to exhume the dead in Magallón, and she didn't miss a day.
When they tell you, that's your grandfather or your father, you can finally take the skull in your hands, hug it and kiss it, because it wasn't possible before.
Time is running out in the search for Oriaga's grandfather. So far, they found nothing but construction site debris. Oriaga believes it may have been dumped here on purpose.
It's becoming less and less likely that we'll find the victims' bodies. It really makes me angry.
At the end of the day, the team calls off the search. But Oriaga isn't giving up.
The search isn't over. There's another eyewitness who knows what took place here.
Oriaga says she'll continue until she finds her grandfather, not just for her family, but for Spain as a whole, because each new find sheds a little light on the country's dark past.